Jen McCabe's jagged little tooth and her gaggle of normal dads are back at it again, this time crying wolf, claiming they're eyeing defamation claims against Karen Reed and Turtleboy. Yes, and I've been eyeing a beachfront mansion in Santorini, a six-pack that doesn't come from the liquor store, and Florence Pugh finally returning my DMs, but alas, here we are. This and more.
And more.
In today's video.
I have 2 words. Do it. Do it. I'd love that.
Hello, and welcome back, roommates, to another titillating edition of Alexasrewm, where we are not lawyers, we are not medical professionals, we are not law enforcement, we are just people, right? People who have opinions about all things going on in the true crime community, including chick who looks like she eats granola bars with her molars, purely on a spite, Jen McCabe, and her flock of pearl-clutching Victorian widows in their latest temper tantrum are denouncing Karen Reed's cover-up claims as a vile work of fiction. Meanwhile, your own timeline has more plot holes than the 2019 film adaptation of the musical Cats.
Now for the icing on the cake!
Speaking of furry things, I wonder if they can find Cora. Can they depose Cora? Because I would be curious to hear her side of the tale. The outlandish, I say, frame job allegations were part of Reed's, quote, scheme to defame and wrongly malign prosecution witnesses and evade responsibility. It's not evading anything if it's the truth. For the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. Lawyers for Brian and Nicole Albert, Jennifer and Matthew McCabe, and Brian Higgity Diggity argue in a new brief recently served on Reed's legal team. And in my opinion, this is one of the reasons why they decided to pipe up now, right? Is the fact that Karen Reed's team announced that they were going to be bringing some legal action against these witnesses, as well as our favorite Massachusetts State Police investigators, Proctor Teletully Bukwacki. But also, too, could it have anything to do with this? So this was just posted, a couple of hours ago by Turtleboy. The deadline has now passed for Robert Cosgrove to file his opposition to his motion to dismiss and motion to recuse himself as a prosecutor. So could this be because charges are being dropped and they were given the tip-off? I don't know, but he goes on to say he previously asked for and was granted the extension, from the October 27th deadline. He has not asked for more time. The charges should be dismissed immediately. And Betterow posted this shortly thereafter, just kind of clarifying some things about the timeline. So, he says, we filed the motion to dismiss on September 17th. The court assigned a deadline for the prosecution to respond by the end of the day on Monday, October 27th. Initially, the court suggested the 24th. Silver Fox Timothy J. Bradle graciously suggested the Monday to give them the weekend. Late afternoon, October 24th, Commonwealth sought an extension by filing at that late time. They made it impossible for us to even respond. This is kind of like the same kind of pattern, right, that we've seen in pretty much every single filing related to the Turtleboy cases as well as the Karen Reed case for both trials. Right? A few days later, the court extended the deadline to November 17th. We said nothing, no objection, no complaint. It is now after business hours on November 17th, and it has been 2 months since we filed our motion. No response has been filed as far as we know. No response has been emailed to us. No motion seeking additional time has been filed or emailed. No courtesy email has been sent to us attempting to explain anything. We are simply without a response or even information explaining anything past the second deadline. That's all the information we have. So, again, are the two related? But going back to the supposed defamation claims, right? Turtleboy's been publishing articles exposing the McAlberts since 2023. If that's what they really believe, why now? Why wait until now to start whispering the word defamation? Because you feel like you need to come up with some kind of response to defend your honor? I mean, you were already named third-party culprits. People all know you were the people in the house who were likely the last ones to see John O'Keefe alive. Why wouldn't you think people would be suspicious of you? Like, it was your house, your party, your front yard. I don't think anybody's first thought would be like, yeah, the person who dropped this person off. You would think, no, the homeowner, right? Or something must have happened at that party. That's what common sense law tells me, but notice who isn't mentioned in this article, which really is insane when you think about his previous testimony in trial 1, but also to what's been stated by members of the McAlbert Mafia of how Colin's life has been ruined to the point where he can't even go to school anymore, right? He had to drop out of college because it was so bad. And now he's got to spend the rest of his life peddling pepperoni slices over at his dad's slop shop. I mean, you would think, if this was really about preserving the honor and integrity of the Albert name, wouldn't they want to include the kid whose life is supposedly ruined because of all of this? Plenty of people believe that he was in the house when this all happened. And that's what kickstarted the whole Great Rubber Ducky Brigade. So if you're gonna cry wolf, you might as well invite the whole goddamn petting zoo. I also don't get what they're exactly eyeing to sue Karen Reed over. Like, she's allowed to name other parties that could have been possibly involved. In building a defense, like, she's allowed to do that, so I don't get it. I mean, I also think this is probably because they know that they can't get her and Turtleboy indicted on conspiracy charges. Reed is seeking to combine her conspiracy and civil rights claims with the wrongful death suit for efficiency's sake, but a judge has yet to rule on that request. The Alberts, McCabes, and Higgins are asking that Reed's motion be denied and her claims filed in a separate case. The Commonwealth witnesses vigorously dispute defendant Reed's allegations and will defend against these false claims, their lawyers explained. They said that their defense will include motions to dismiss, a potential request to move the claims to federal court, I wonder why, and counterclaims against both Reed and Turtleboy blogger. That you spelled independent journalist wrong. For defamation and other torts that they have committed individually and in concert. Well, a grand jury certainly didn't think so, so I okay. I just feel like if you're trying to move this to federal court, this has nothing to do with trying to clear your good name. Because if you would do that, you would do that in the court of public opinion. And we saw how well that worked out for Amber Heard. Maybe they'll move to Spain too, who knows? But I also think this is probably just trying to use this as some sort of scare tactic. Lawyers for the Alberts, McCabes, and Higgins said they had planned to seek justice in a separate action over allegations that Reed and Carney defamed and substantially injured them through myriad false statements. Combining those defamation claims with Reed's conspiracy claims and the O'Keefe's wrongful death suit is procedurally improper at this stage and will make for a much more sprawling case, the lawyers argue. But you know what justice really looks like? You see, justice means finding out what actually happened to the guy who at least one of you claimed to be very good friends with, who died on the front yard, your front yard, giving any information that might be useful and helpful in uncovering what the duck happened and taking accountability for your actions. That's justice. Because last time I checked, the victim is John O'Keefe. And because of your actions, you created other victims of the system. Karen Reed and Turtleboy. You haven't been arrested. You haven't been charged with anything, had to go to trial, had the law and the system weaponized against you because what, you don't like what somebody says about you? You're not victims. You're the bullies. Bullies don't get justice. They get served. So Turtleboy put out his own statement, but this was the response he gave in this article at the time that was published. The only reason they have not been arrested or treated as suspects is due to the corruption and incompetence of the Canton State Police, many of whom had direct ties to the Albert family, Carney wrote. Pointing out these facts is not defamation. Yeah, asking questions, reading public records, and reporting is called investigative journalism. But anyways, tomato, tomato, right? They are free to sue me and bring this to trial, as I would be more than happy to keep their crimes in the public eye as much as possible and to explain these facts to a jury and let them decide who they think unalived John O'Keefe. Notably absent from the opposition brief is Brian and Nicole Albert's nephew, Colin Albert, who was also present at 34 Fairview Road the night O'Keefe died. While Karen Reed previously sought to implicate Colin Albert in her third-party culprit theory, she has not named him in her civil conspiracy claims. And the wrongful death lawsuit is due back in court Friday, so obviously we'll be keeping tabs on that. This is Turtleboy's full statement. I'm not going to read it out, but I will link it in my show notes below so you can read the article and support. You can throw a couple bucks his way. It's $15 a month, I think, ad-free. You get access to every single article he's ever published, along with an invitation into his Turtle Club every single week. So you can do all that via the link below. Go and support independent journalism. It is the new media. We also have the Brian Walsh trial that's going to be kickstarting very, very soon. In fact, they had their final pre-trial conference earlier today. Now, interestingly enough, Michael Proctor has been added as a prospective witness in his upcoming case. So whether or not he'll actually be called, I mean, I think it would be silly if Larry Tipton didn't call Michael Proctor. So we'll see. But that said, if you enjoyed today's content, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next update. Make sure you hit that like button, yeah, because that tells the YouTube algorithm that this is newsworthy news, and it is. Lots of stuff coming down the pike. This is going to be a spicy Christmas season. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it coming. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.
My dog stepped on a bee. We went to the vet.